Hey traders, checking in on the marijuana and mushroom sector. The mushroom sector bulls showing up, setting weekly higher lows that we've been waiting patiently for over the last week and a half. And the mushroom sector continuing its healthy consolidation, scouting for entries on those higher lows on the daily time frame. Let's see where we stand.
Introducing the Chart Guy's Swing Report, a weekly digital publication that uses technical analysis to identify long-term market opportunities. Understand the market from a swing trade perspective. Follow institutional money as it rotates from sector to sector, and make the most of the Swing Report's weekly trade opportunities, with key entry and exit levels provided. Performance is tracked and updated weekly. For more information, visit us at chartguys.com. Now, let's check out some charts.
So we'll start it off with CGC. The daily consolidation at this point is certainly very healthy. We have a bit of a 4-hour equilibrium shaping up. We set a higher low. Obviously, ideally, the bulls would have liked to just see continuation and confirm the bull flag. Instead, we have a tightening range. So if we were to zoom into the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we have our high of the breakout, our low of the initial pullback, lower high was set, and we held a little double bottom. Some of these levels are in extended hours. This is it without extended hours on. Still holding the EMA support, and the bulls are keeping control. We would have to see a loss of that daily support level down at 32.35 if we were going to say, okay, bulls are losing their short-term momentum, and then we would zoom out and scout weekly consolidation at that point. We have to keep in mind that earnings are going to be approaching. We saw APHA reaction to earnings already, but heading into February and March, we're going to have a lot more earnings on both the Canadian and US side of things. So if you are swing trading positions, you certainly want to be aware of when those earnings are so you don't get surprised. So that's the most important short-term support, 32.35, and obviously the bulls want to break 34.54 and 35.08 to try and see continuation. No red flags on the daily consolidation for bulls at this point. I've been focusing more on APHA recently for the volatility, and what I like to do is get a name, get comfortable with it. I get familiar with its common bid and ask sizes so I can see when it's unusual bid or ask, support or resistance, and just getting comfortable with how it trades. So for me, that's been APHA on this move up and trading it on this consolidation as well. I made an entry today, but it's the same thing. We hit our high, set a daily little higher low of support, failed to break the high, and we're tightening up on the 4-hour range here as well. 1201 is the most important short-term support to me. So the trade game plan that I established heading into today was, okay, if we drop down towards 1201, and if RSI levels are oversold, I'm going to be looking for an entry. One of our back burner trades that we look for is first 5-minute and first hourly oversold conditions when coming off of either an all-time high, ideally, and if it's not an all-time high, then after a massive bull move, ideally. And in this instance, APHA hourly RSI got real close to oversold. We got pretty much right down to 30.31 when we were at the low of this candle. So I said, okay, things are aligning. Multiple things are aligning. First hourly oversold conditions, key daily support, and I made an entry at 12.26, had a really good entry. I would have entered one more down at maybe 12.08, and I would have put my stop loss under 12. So I would have put it at 11.99. So I ended up with a great entry. I exited half of that. When? I don't know. 12.50s, and now I'm riding half and swinging it. Down a bit after hours, thanks to ACB. And ACB is being shunned in this video. I'm not even going to cover it. Aside from the fact that it had dilution news yet again, big drop after hours in response to that, giving back the entirety of the bounce on the day, and potentially setting up for a gap down open tomorrow. A little bit of a recovery after hours, but again, dilution machine, ACB, and it did hurt the vast majority of individual names that do see some correlation. In extended hours, we can see this drop after hours. We closed, at 12.68 or so? Closed at 12.68. Low of after hours was 12.40. So we did drop 2% in relation to that. So I'm not really concerned about it where I stand at this point because I sold half of my position. I'm in a risk-free trade. I put my stop, and actually I only sold 40%. Still have 60%. But I put my stop under $12. If I stop out, it's pretty much a break-even trade, and I start with a fresh, clean slate and scout a daily higher low from that point. And of course, if $12 doesn't break, then I have a really good entry, and we hope for continuation. So that's my game plan on APHA at this point. TLRY, daily pullback is a little bit more significant. The low of Tuesday, 1740, already broke, and APHA and CGC did not break the low of Tuesday. So that is TLRY, whose premium with the deal and the merger with APHA was a bit extended because it had a bit more of a bearish day today. That premium shrunk up a bit. Cron's healthy consolidation. This is a daily bull flag still. Very regimented, controlled consolidation. Low bear volume. And the last daily higher low was 860. So we're still way above that level. The daily EMA 12 is not in play yet. And again, it's definitely, this is the kind of consolidation that you scout an entry on because it is healthy and because we know we are looking for a daily higher low. Hourly RSI did get right above oversold as well. We bounced from 1064 to 1092, a little 2.5% bounce. But again, after hours, we are seeing that weakness and we're below the low of the day after hours right now, thanks to ACB dilution news and potentially watching for that hourly RSI to be more clearly oversold tomorrow. The one thing that we got to be careful of on a name like this and a setup like this is we don't have a support level nearby to be using. I made my entry on APHA because the setup was very clear with the support level that I was playing off of, so my risk is very clearly defined when I'm in the trade. If I'm entering Cron here, where does my stop go? For me, with no clear support level nearby, I'm using the EMA 12 support as a visual guide, which the bulls would want to maintain. And I would say if we hold the daily EMA 12, then continuation remains on the table. And if we lose the daily EMA 12, that's when we start scouting a daily equilibrium to be the most likely scenario. Hexo, same thing as Cron. Healthy, daily inside bar today. Scouting that higher low. If the inside bar breaks bullish tomorrow over $7, our higher low is set at $6.59. And the daily EMA 12 support is catching up. Bull volume on the way up. Lower bear volume on the consolidation. No red flags. VFF is a little bit different. So it's still looking for a daily higher low, but here we are already grinding the EMA 12, and you just compare it to Hexo and Cron and even APHA, and it's just not the same comfort of consolidation for me. I would rather be looking for an entry on Hexo and Cron than I would be on VFF. So that's just me personally, and just visually looking at the setup as far as choosing my ideal consolidation. It's just not my ideal consolidation with this pullback, and the reason being, the move up was not as significant and convincing. And if I look right now, the low of today, we hit price levels back on January 11th. And I look at Cron, the low of this consolidation. If we were hitting the prices from January 11th, we'd be down here at, $5. So a very big difference. January 11th for Cron, we were down in the $9 range. So not the same setup. Again, you show me this chart on its own, and it's still just fine for the bulls, but I like other setups better. On to the US side. IIPR, bulls are just gearing up here for a new all-time high. Higher low on the daily is 180.60, and we can see the all-time high, pretty much, we'll just call it 200. We double-topped at the all-time high, pulled back today, but these lower wicks show us these bulls are continuing to buy these dips and trying to confirm the weekly bull flag, which we are on the verge of doing. We would have to see a break of 180.66 if we were going to say that double top is now a lot more convincing, because anything above that keeps the daily higher lows intact. MSOS, healthy on the daily. You could call this a bull flag as well, as long as 44.40 holds. I have started scaling back into my anti-FOMO positions, where if we keep running, great, I'm making money, but not enough of a position established that I'm overextended up here, because I look at this weekly time frame and I say, okay, I'm saving cash for weekly consolidation. I don't care if we run up to $52 before it happens. I'm going to buy on consolidation on the weekly time frame when it happens. So I will always save cash for when that happens. And there's a lot of other people that are going to be doing that as well. But for now, looking for the daily higher low, we can say it's been set at 44.40, and the bulls are setting their sights back on the all-time high of 47.55. The strongest of the MSOs that deserve a little shout out in the last few days, CRLBF is testing its high. So definitely stands out. 1 day of consolidation right back towards that high of 14.24. And we broke that level by a penny today. And it's notable that we have not hit all-time highs yet. And that's on the horizon here, right there. That's the next level. And that's one thing to note that is different about CRLBF and these other MSOs that we are watching. But again, strong on the daily. GTBIF, same thing. This is one of the highest closes, second highest close that we've ever seen. And that resistance is 31 right there. Got to double check my all-time high here. Yep. And again, the other names aren't weak. They're just not as strong. TCNNF, it's healthy daily consolidation, but it's more sideways, and we're not close to testing that recent high like those other two names are. And shout out to TRSSF if you like small caps and lower volume. It's certainly performing in blue sky breakout as well. Short-term support here. Haven't really set a clear daily high or low, but if I had to pick a nearby level, it'd be 1285, a little double bottom, the 14th and 15th as a short-term support level. So that's it for the MJ space. Again, I'm just keeping it simple and going with MSOS for now. Swing trading and day trading APHA. Even though I'm in a swing position tonight, my main focus is day trading the Canadian MJ names. So back at the top of the US MJ space, and I was watching MSOS this day on January 14th very closely, and I was watching market sells of $500,000, which is pretty notable for this ETF. We've been getting $40, $45 million recently, but a couple $500,000 market sells, next thing you know, that's 2 to 3% of your entire daily volume. That was happening up at the top, and then we closed with a bearish reversal candle, and it looked like a little bit of a temporary climax and like consolidation needed to take place. So I observed that, and I'm instantly wondering, where is money going to go? I know there's a lot of people in a lot of profit on the USMJ space. So anybody selling up here is locking in fat gains. And I've learned from watching the broader market and the tech sector and the financial sector, it's just one big rotation game. Money's going from here, a couple weeks later to here, a couple weeks later to here. So back in 2017, I took my crypto gains, brought them into the Canadian MJ space. Best decision I've ever made as a trader. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I was scaling out on this move up out of my USMJ positions, taking profit and locking it in. And then I shifted my focus onto the mushroom space because it was ideal scenario, an extended move, extremely overbought on one sector, and a sector that's seen healthy consolidation and is ready for another leg up on the mushroom space. And it was the same thing back in 2017. Crypto was way overextended, locked in that profit, and then rolled it over into Canadian MJ, knowing that the catalysts were going to be there to lead to a Canadian MJ breakout. So in this instance, I rolled my USMJ profit into the mushroom sector and was speculating, are other people going to be doing the same thing? Generally, if I'm doing something, I'm assuming other traders are doing it as well, and it just depends on how many are doing it. But do temporary marijuana stocks, tops, and healthy consolidation lead to mushroom stocks setting weekly higher lows? Sector rotation, MMEDF, triple bottom, volume starting to come in. And this was on, I don't even know what day that was. Last Thursday, a week ago. So since then, it's been nothing but consolidation in USMJ. Again, very healthy, but 4 days of consolidation from that point. And it's been all bullish action in some of these mushroom names from that point. Here was January 14th, a little bit of sideways, but here's our leg up. And MindMed, this is the only mushroom position that I have right now, and just played a couple of these bounces off our triple bottom of support. Not the most recent one, but very comfortable right now in a position where my break even is about $3 or so, maybe a little bit less, and really loving the follow through today, the uptick in bull volume. Next resistance is 375, and after 375, it's 4 and then 507. There is a lack of resistance here. Weekly chart, I am watching for a weekly lower high. I'm not expecting a V-shape to all-time highs. I'm looking for a weekly lower high and an equilibrium. So I will be looking to lock in profit before 507 resistance. What would be one thing that could convince me to hold my position? Continued increasing bull volume. And we have this ETF that was delayed. PSYK is the ticker. It was delayed. I believe it's going to start trading January 26th. And MindMed is definitely one of those positions. They published today, I tweeted it, the positions that they are going to be adding into that ETF. So if that buying pressure increases bull volume on the daily enough to increase the probability, I should say, that a new all-time high is coming, then I will hold that position. But if volume does not continue to impress me, I will lock in my gains in ideally the low to mid $4 range, and then I would look to buy a daily high or low if we were to reject from 507 on the first attempt. So that is my game plan, but very comfortable in profit and a really nice day today. 10%, I believe, is what we were up, something along those lines. I'm also watching CMPS, And CMPS is, again, same thing. We are looking for a weekly higher low. You have a breakout to all-time highs. You have a significant pullback, setting a higher low, and we're looking for an equilibrium on the weekly time frame. So the daily setup right now is an inverse head and shoulders. This is the left shoulder where we topped out at $49.92. Let's just call it $50. There's our head to a lower low. Rejected from resistance again, $47.32. And here's the bulls attempting the daily trend change. An inverse head and shoulders is just going from a downtrend of lower highs and lower lows to then an uptrend of higher lows and then higher highs. So that is the setup that is here. I would have entered a position today, but honestly, I zoomed into the 5-minute time frame, and playing a chart that has gaps on the 5-minute time frame is against my religion. I just can't do it. And I need liquidity to trade, and I'm probably going to regret, because I am very confident that we are likely to bounce back up towards $50, $52, but I have to stick to my rules. And if you are showing me gaps on the 5-minute time frame, you are not a liquid enough stock for me to personally trade it. So I'm going to stick with the penny stocks here aren't seeing that. And if we're talking dollar volume, we're looking at maybe $8 million traded, $9 million traded today. MindMed had $18 million, twice the dollar volume on an OTC penny stock comparative to the NASDAQ $44 stock. There's no gaps on the 5-minute time frame on this MindMed chart. So I'm going to stick with this. Hourly uptrend will be our short-term guide. Anything above the low of yesterday on MindMed is an hourly higher low. Trip. So the penny stocks here, even more penny stocks, $3 compared to 27 cents. This is a lead bull. Look at this massive increasing bull volume, relatively speaking, and move right back up to that high. 53, we did top out. It's an inside bar. We have to be cautious because if we don't break 55, we need to pull back and form a higher low. But if you're looking for risk and reward, these penny stocks, we just made a 100% move, but the pullbacks are obviously just as significant. This pullback was 55%. So if you want extra risk and extra reward, these names certainly have it. And PSYC is another one where the sideways range broke bull, the weekly higher low has been set, and we're looking back at that all-time high of 44 cents. NUMI is another one doing the same thing. Weekly higher low is set, not as strong. Anything under 245 is a lower high, that's 60% away. So we're just looking for a weekly lower high here unless massive bull volume shows up. And another one was RVV. They had dilution news. Bit of a bummer. Again, we know that dilution is going to happen in this sector a lot because they are not necessarily profitable companies. There's a long road ahead of research and development. I am not just buying and holding the sector for that reason. I believe dilution will continue to be a factor. But all that aside, beautiful same setup as everybody else, but gap down open. Bulls bought the dip, but it's now a step behind everybody else, whereas other names are breaking bullish. And if RVV was doing the same thing, we'd be up in the mid-70s right now, but obviously a much different story due to the reaction of that dilution news. So that is where we stand, and nice to see the mushroom sector wake up because we've just been sitting here waiting, and it's nice that support held. We didn't have a reason to exit, but now we have a reason to smile. So continuing to watch the MJ sector, looking for daily higher lows, no red flags, keeping an eye out for them. And we'll see if these mushroom bulls can see this bull move follow through and then ideally get a little catalyst ignited with some ETF buying as well. I'm not holding my breath for that because the ETF is going to be traded on the NEO and lower exchanges. It's not the same as MSOS being traded on the NYSE. The biggest difference here is this ETF is giving exposure on the larger exchanges to traders and investors that otherwise wouldn't be going on the OTC. And this ETF in the psychedelic space, it's not the same thing because it's on the lower tier, like a lot of these lower tiered individual companies. So for that reason, I'm not holding my breath, but I would certainly like to be surprised and see that bull volume continue to roll in. That's all I got for today. Hope you are all well out there. Don't forget to establish your game plans, set your stop levels and your targets, and we will see you soon. Have a good rest of your night.